What's up guys, I'm back, and today I'm going to be talking about tracing and how it helps me understand how anatomy works and maybe some tips that could help you out. So let's get into it. So first of all, if you don't know what tracing is, or as a quick reminder, according to Wikipedia, tracing is the act of copying an image or work of art by drawing over its lines, especially through the use of transparent overlays. Tracing can provide a way for a person to develop their artistic skills, for example, when it comes to learning anatomy. It is, however, frowned upon in many art circles. So, a pretty simple definition. Most likely, you've done it as a kid, because I know I did, whenever I was bored. I just put a paper over an image and trace it for fun, or I would trace my hand, because I had nothing else to do. But the thing is, there's a whole controversy around tracing. I mean, just using the word, some people immediately see it as a red flag, but the thing is, we need to understand when it's been used correctly and when it's not. So, is tracing bad? Yes and no. It all depends on how you use it. I've seen various times the debate of tracing is cheating, but honestly, I don't think it is when you use it correctly. Tracing can help you study a specific subject that maybe you don't understand. It's great whenever you want to study another artist, helping you understand how they draw certain subjects, or even the way they might paint or render. The issue is whenever someone traces and says it's theirs when it's not, doing an exact copy of the subject, and worse, selling it like in the case of Christopher Roku Coates, who was caught tracing and selling another artist's drawing, which isn't great. So honestly, in my opinion, if you're going to do study of another artist's work, I think it's best you don't upload it so there aren't any issues. It's best to sometimes not upload these studies because people can mistaken it for tracing and using it as something that you created, and there can be like big issues and stuff. So I'd recommend just not posting it unless it's like something super obvious that you can tell someone can't steal. Like in my case, I was studying and tracing a frame from Arcane where you can see Jinx's face because I wanted to understand how they painted the skin since it looked bluish in tone. So I traced it, I rendered it out, tried to paint it over it, and I did upload it, but it's obvious that it's not mine. Like, there's no way I could even say, yeah, I drew this. Like, no. I even put like the image next to it so that you can see like what I did. And obviously I put like in the description like, oh, I was studying this exact frame from Arcane. I feel like in those cases, it's not such a big deal if you want to upload it. But in other subjects or maybe artists that are way smaller or not as known, you could cause some controversy doing that. So it's best to just keep it to yourself because at the end of the day, you're learning from it since the whole idea is a study and you're trying to understand how they do certain things so that you can later on implement it in your own work. So, how do I use tracing? Well, I mainly use it for difficult poses that are hard to understand. I've seen other artists that trace the entire pose directly, but way sketchier, not an exact copy of like literally tracing the line for line. It's just like a loose sketch on top of the pose as a way to draw the pose faster, which I think is also fine. But in my case, I like to draw what shapes I see on the body so that I can understand how the anatomy works. So in this example, you can see that I use circles, squares, triangles, and rectangles. So it's easier for me to see how everything is separated and how it works. So let's say like the head can be a circle or an oval, the arms can be long rectangles, the torso can be a square, the feet can be triangles, stuff like that. That way it's way more easier for me to see how everything works, and from there I leave this now type reference next to where the sketch will be, and now I start to sketch the pose and copying the shapes that I see, connecting them all, and that way I can draw the exact pose without the proportions looking off and it looking like the pose. Also, at the same time, I'm taking the time to understand how everything works so that later on, whenever I want to draw another post, I don't have to trace it and I can just imagine how all those shapes work. And in a way, I'm tracing right now so that I can learn later on and get to a point where I don't even have to do it anymore, because I'll understand how everything works and I can imagine and see where all these shapes go. So after a bit of rendering out this post, here is the result. I really like how she came out, and I honestly learned a lot. After studying this way, I definitely feel like my poses have gotten better and they don't look as stiff. And well, I hope you liked this chat and learned a few things. Let me know in the comments what's your opinion on tracing. Do you like it or are you against it, and why? Also, if you try out this technique, tag me on Instagram. I want to see how yours turned out. And if you're interested in commissioning me, reach out to me on my Instagram or VGen. Both have the links in the description down below. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!